Hello my lovelies, I am back with another little video, and today we're looking at the Procreate Beginners series on YouTube. I figured that out of all the goals that I was going to set for this year, that this is probably best to be the first one. It kind of makes sense. And I thought before I paid for any kind of course I would try this one because it's free, so why not? So if you do want to try it, literally just go on YouTube, type in Procreate, you can scroll down and it's got a playlist just for the beginner series, and I managed to complete these in an afternoon. There are 4 videos, each about 15 to 20 minutes long, with a really nice lady who takes you through everything step by step. And I actually did find that I learnt quite a few things that I wasn't aware of, and on top of that it was also quite nice to just see her do some things where I'm like, yeah, I know that's cool. That was quite a nice little confidence boost. But then when there was things that I didn't know, I got my little notebook out, which you'll see me get out at different points during this video, just to write down those little hints and tips, because there are so many like Procreate drawing tips that you get them a lot on like Instagram reels where people make them, and I always try and save them, but then I never end up going back to them. And I really should, because they would be more helpful. So I figured maybe in my little cute and deadly notebook I've got for all my ideas and stuff, it'd be handy to put them in there, which is what I did. So yeah, this is me just basically while the video is starting, just playing around with different pens and whatnot. It's telling you about the simple gestures. So you obviously have things like 2-finger tap is to undo, 3-finger tap is to redo. You can also hold those down to do it faster. There's obviously different brushes that you can do. There's a blending tool, there's an erase tool. So this is just me making sure I've definitely got those other bits and pieces written down. The most obvious one that I couldn't believe I hadn't even really paid much attention to is on the left-hand side of the screen. You see there's 2 sliders, and the bottom one is for opacity. I'd always just amended that per layer. I'd never thought about doing it per brush, which is a bit crazy. So that was the most like surprising one that I'd learned, because I was like, how do I not know this? How have I not even played with this tool? Which was a little bit silly, but yeah, so let's get started. Each video gives you the ability to let you make a simple piece of artwork, but by doing it and following the steps you learn more about the tools that are in Procreate. So this is me just setting up the screen ready to get going. So the piece of artwork that they have you create in the first video is basically a sunset over some mountains, using one of the, well, a few different brushes actually. So here I'm just drawing the sun, as they've mentioned. They talk you through, this is the colour wheel. So there are 2 rings. There's an outer ring which helps you select the colour, and then there's an inner ring which helps you kind of pick a more specific tone. So they run you through that, which is handy. They also run you through the other variations, which is pretty useful, because I only use like the main one where it's just a big block of colour. So using this circle is actually not something I would normally do. I normally just have like their classic where you just scroll around it and pick a colour, but they take you through all the different tabs and how to use them. So like at one point I learned how to use a colour palette, which I thought would actually be really handy, because if I'm colouring something in and I need like several shades from the same colour, I can flick between them a lot easier rather than having to use the colour dropper, which I'll show you when that comes up. So yeah, so they have you obviously just on the first layer you can see you've got background colour, and then you've got layer 1. So on layer 1 it's where I'm drawing everything, and the way they describe it, how layers work, is quite interesting. They describe it as having different pieces of like transparent glass that you draw on, and each layer you can only draw on the stuff that you've got, but you can then see everything underneath it, and it means that you don't paint over stuff. You can flick between layers and edit stuff a bit more easily, which I thought was a really nice way of describing it, because that is that is how it is, and it does make things a lot easier. So once they've explained all the layers, you basically then have to redo the mountains, which is a little bit annoying, but it's fine. They're basically going to redo the mountains on a second layer, so it shows you how to make the layer and then how to put different things on different layers. So you've got the sun on one layer, you've got the blue mountain on layer 2, the pink mountain on layer 3, and then we just added layer 4 here. So it just goes through how you turn on and off layers, which is the little checkbox on the right hand side of the column that was open a minute ago, and then you can change the opacity on them, and you can switch them round as well, which is kind of handy. Can't quite remember why they told us to switch these round. I think, oh yeah, there you go. So that's how you switch them round. So it's just about bringing which one you want to the front in order to layer them in the correct way that works best for you. So as we go along, they get you to add, I think, a couple more different colours on the mountains. I'm not really sure why I kept going for the same shape and just kind of layering it. Probably trying to do it as easy as possible, to be honest, because I had the video on my laptop while I was then drawing on my iPad, and then I'm obviously recording with my phone, so I think I was just trying to keep up and keep it as simple as possible, because I'm not gonna lie, I did have to keep pausing and going back on the video on my laptop a few different times, just because sometimes I did find, and this might be something to be aware of if you decide to do the Procreate course, is sometimes they talk quite quickly, and when you're trying to watch it and do it at the same time, you kind of go, oh crap, right, what was that? Let me just go back and have another look. And then if you're concentrating on your iPad, obviously you might miss something that's on the YouTube screen. That's never going to be good for anyone. So what I'm just doing at the moment on there is now playing around with background. So if you uncheck the background bit on the layers that I was in a moment ago, it goes to this cross-hatched kind of thing that matches the background, but then you can still see the size of the paper that you selected, and they just get you to select a nice little cream background, and then they show you how to use the eyedropper tool, which is what I mentioned earlier. So that's where you press and hold your finger on the screen and it magnifies what you're touching, and you can see the different colours, and then when you lift your finger off, it then stays as that colour for you to keep drawing with. And I'll be totally honest, right now at this point, there were so many different colours on the screen for different mountain types. I just keep getting you to draw different mountains in different colours. I'm assuming that's just so that if you are a beginner, then you get used to it. But I kind of got a bit bored of that after a while. So while she was still talking, I realised that my sun was not symmetrically round. So tried to just make it more circular and less oval, which it still looks a little bit wonk, but I think because this was the first video, I feel like I knew a lot of the stuff that was on it. The stuff that I didn't know was more towards the start, so these bits with all the layers and moving around and picking different brushes and using the eyedropper tool to pick the different colours, that was all stuff that I was familiar with. So they then get you to just outline a few of these bits and pieces around here. So I just generally tried to tidy it up a little bit more and make it look a little bit more mountainous, I guess. But do you know what? From a distance, it's not that bad, really. It's not as bad as I thought it was, so we'll take that. It could, be a artsy, abstract postcard. I think I'm probably being a little dismissive of it because I get really hyped up on detail more than I need to. I'll zoom in until I can see pixels on stuff, and then I print it as a small sticker and you can't really see the difference anyway. So perhaps this is a bit of a lesson in simplifying things and keeping it nice and chill. This is something that they got us to do with the sun, where they just got you to add another layer that was a bit more opaque to give it a little glow, and then they tried to get you to do this weird thing on the sky, but I was I kind of like it as it is, so I just tried to keep it quite light. And essentially that's where they leave it after the first video on the beginners series, so that's where I'm gonna leave it too. So keep your eye out for the next one, because I will be back. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like video and comment and subscribe and all that stuff.